Arrays in C#. An array is exactly what it sounds like. It's a list of items that are all grouped together in one container. It's an array of stuff. Let's see how to create arrays and pull values out of them over on csharppad.com. First, let's create an array of strings. Let's have string and then we need to add 2 square brackets, an opening and a closing to this definition. And I've just put a space between them so it's easy for us to see. If you remove the space, it looks like a strange character. It doesn't matter. When you come to code this in something like Visual Studio, you won't have to put the space in because you'll be able to see them separately. Okay, let's call this my array is equal to a new string array. Then we open some curly braces and we feed it with some values. Let's have learn app development. Close our curly brace and put a semicolon in. Now we have defined a string array and given it 3 values. What if we want to define an integer array? Well, it's the same process. Int, open and close our square brackets, int array is equal to a new int, open and close square brackets, open your curly brace and put in some numbers separated by commas. And we now have an integer array. Now what if we want to grab something out of those arrays? Let's grab the app word out of our string array. Let's have string word is equal to my array, and we open a square bracket and we pass it an index of the element we want. So I'm going to pass it 1 and close my square brackets, and this 1 is going to grab app. If I had put 0, it would grab learn. If I had put 2, it would grab development. And that's because arrays are 0 indexed. So the first element is actually found at address 0. The second element is found at address 1. You always need to remember that when programming in C#, or generally in any programming language. Most arrays are 0 indexed. If you recall from our previous lessons, when we did for loops, I always started my integer I as equal to 0. And it just helps to keep that consistency throughout your C# programming code. Okay, back to arrays. We have our word pulled out of our array. Let's print it. Console.writeLine word. This should print out app. Click go, and we have our app printed out for us. Now what if we have our integer array and we want to discover how long this array is? And why would we want to do that? Well, if I tried to access element number 10 inside of this array, I would get an exception, a horrible error that crashed my program, because there is no element 10. So, it's always best to check how long our array is before we try and access something that might not be there. Integer array length is equal to our integer array dot length, and this returns an integer to tell us how many elements are in the array. Let's print it out in our console.writeLine. Array length dot to string, and click go. It tells us we have 4 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now don't forget, if I wanted to access the 4th element, I would have square brackets with a 3 in it, because 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 is actually the 4th one in terms of indexing. So that's how we get the length of our array out. I'm not going to go into other kinds of arrays or lists here, but just know that C# has other ways of storing batches of variables together. One of them is list, so if you want to look that up on the web, please go ahead. The other one is enumerable. That's capital I, capital E. I'll just spell it out for you. Enumerable. Enumerable. So you feel free to go and look up that, and also feel free to go and look up list. These are other ways of storing arrays, but the basic one we have now covered.